Today I'm working on the other side of the trees that I worked on yesterday with the red and white, if you remember. Today I'm using some black acrylic craft paint and just brushing on a light layer onto the backs of these wooden trees. Being pretty careful not to let the paint drip down over the edges. My brush is pretty dry. And I'm trying to go in both directions to eliminate brush strokes. But it's really not that important because we're going to be layering on other colors. And cinnamon, too, to give these like an old, I don't know, a distressed, rusty kind of look. So in the end, then I do decide, you know what, I think I will paint the edges of these trees because they're pretty thick. These are chunky trees and I really don't want that bright white showing. So I'm going with a really light layer of the black acrylic craft paint. And it dries pretty quick because I went really light. And so, you know what? The black just looks really good on the red and white side too, showing. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I'm happy with that. So then once that first layer is dry, I am using some of the old formula chalk paste that I have left over. I am using some bark, which is like a dark brown color. It's kind of dry, so it's a little clumpy, but in the end, I kind of like the texture that it's giving these trees, especially using the sponge. Instead of using a paintbrush or a squeegee, I'm just dabbing all over some of that bark chalk paste. Then to give it even a little bit more dimension, I try using a dune, but it doesn't show up very well. So then I decided to try like a really light green color. And again, this is just an old chalk paste color that's a light green, just to give it a little bit more dimension. And also just pouncing that on with a sponge. Then while those paints or pastes are still a little bit damp, I just gonna sprinkle on some cinnamon. Cinnamon's like the perfect color to give it that rusty look. I've never done this before, but I've seen it done. And they say that this has been around for years. I don't know where I've been, but I missed out on the whole cinnamon is dressed thing, but I really do like it. So then, you know, that cardboard, I always save the cardboard because I always find a use for it that the trees come on. Just tap off the excess cinnamon. And I thought, oh, you know what, I should probably try to get some on the edges here, but it's fine, just, you know, how it is. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. And now I want to, you know, dress these trees up a bit like I did yesterday. But I don't know, I'm not thrilled with the gingham. It looks too, that ribbon, it just looks too perfect with the perfect edges. I want something a little more, I don't know, distressed looking, a little more like scrunchied up look. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. So what I'm doing is I have, I don't know, a yard or so of this red and white gingham. And so I'm ripping a strip off just to give it that the frayed edges. I just kind of think that goes with the rustic rust look on these trees. Then in my Christmas box from the basement, I found some old, you know, pieces of garland that had been cut apart for other uses. And I don't throw this stuff away. I just save it because I know that I'm going to come up with another use. Like, why go to the store and buy more? I just save it from year to year because I figured I'll come up with a use for this. And sure enough, I did. So here we go. We're just going to cut these sprigs apart. I want to make sure that there's some red berries included and also some of the pine, you know, the faux pine needles. So that looks like that will work out pretty good. So now I'll just wrap that ribbon somewhere close to the middle of the tree and just tie a simple knot is all. At first I thought, you know what, let's try to tie it within the knot, and that didn't really work out so well. So I'm just tying a knot and then another knot for it to stay, and then not even using any kind of glue, just tuck in those sprigs of the berries and the pines, and it worked out great. No glue is necessary, and because these trees are so thick, you know, they're chunky and wide, they will sit on a mantle or on a tabletop all by themselves. There's no need to put any kind of hanger or anything on these. So what do you think? I'm kind of really loving this look. Now I can't decide which side I like better. I like them both. So I think they will be great on a dining room table where they can be seen from both sides, and they kind of go together, even though one's a little more distressed and rustic looking than the other side. I think they go well together, especially when I put them up next to the coordinating deer. And you know, when I painted those deer last year, I had no idea that they were going to go with these trees so well.